Welcome to episode 263 of the Working Fans Podcast, where today, myself and the man called Dave, we're going to be talking about a lot of things, but the most important thing we are going to be talking about is who is bringing you everything that's Game Up Hard Hydration. The summer is almost over, but your chance to enjoy Game Up is not. There are 4 great flavors. It's like your favorite sports drink, your favorite seltzer came together, had a baby. Dave's going to give you all the rest of that info.
That's right, man. It's only 110 calories, full flavor, low carb. You don't have to feel guilty about it. And you want to know what those flavors are? I'll tell you. It's orange, it's fruit punch, it's lemon lime, and Joe's personal favorite, grape. Now get yourself some Game Up and enjoy our show, too, while you're here.
Now, Game Up is still here, but someone who is not is Psycho Sid. We've had a lot of deaths in the wrestling business lately, and we haven't mentioned them all. You had Alpha the Wild Samoan, but Sid hits a little closer. We've all been fans of him, but this is an interview that we tried chasing down for a little while. It was almost our white whale there for a minute because we had been such fans of Sid over the years, and we wanted to hear from the man himself. Dave, when do you think you first came across Sid?
So Sid, the first time I came across Sid was probably, I would say 89. The first time I discovered him that I remember was the WCW Skyscrapers run, where he was teaming up with Danny Spivey. I later found out he did some stuff with Memphis, with CWA and USWA and stuff like that. But first time he was full-time on my scene was WCW, 89-90. He was teaming up with Spivey. They were managed by Teddy Long, and they were just beating the crap out of people. And I knew who Dan Spivey was for years. He had been in WCW and WWF at the time. But it was like, who the hell was this guy who just looked like out of a movie? And he was so intense. And like I said, they beat the hell out of people. And then next thing you know, he was a 4 Horseman for a little bit. And, he was still beating people up. And then he went to WWF for a bit at Sid Justice. And, he was always just entertaining. And I think I've heard people say it's like he wouldn't be what I would call like a great interview, but he had a real physical charisma about him. And he had an intensity about him that drew you to him. He was a believable big guy. And then occasionally you just had to laugh because he just mess up on live TV once in a while and say these off the wall things. So always a favorite of mine. And he will be missed. It's not like I go back and it's like Kurt Hennig and Bret Hart where I see all these great matches. But man, he's just a character. He's just a character that I really enjoyed.
And he was also, when he was in a company, he was always featured big. The amount of times he came back to WWF and WCW always had that spot. Like you said, not always the greatest on the mic, but that didn't matter because of what he brought with him, the aura about him. I think I first remember him in WWF, and then seeing him go to WCW. And now that I'm older and becoming more of a fan of wrestling history, knowing that he was the Lord Humongous in Memphis at times. And also, I find it really admirable that he wasn't afraid to walk away from the business at times. Everybody would give him a hard time about, playing softball and things like that. But in a business where people will sacrifice a lot of their lives and will really do a lot to make it in the business, Sid was somebody who wasn't afraid to call his own shots and do something different, which I always found very admirable.
Yeah, no, rest in peace, Psycho Sid. He was definitely a legend.
Now, speaking of doing something different, you're going to want to tune into our show next week. We have a big episode planned for you, currently being assembled. I'm very excited about it, but something else I was very excited about that we got to watch last weekend was AEW All In. We've been talking about it for a year since they did the last one. There was a lot of excitement leading up to this with Bryan Danielson. There was a lot of big matches on it. Dave, did the event live up to the expectation you had for it? Like, did it match your excitement?
Oh yeah, I think just for the Bryan Danielson, world title win at the end, I thought that was so well done with his family, there in attendance. Just the story they told in the ring between him and Swerve, the confetti coming down at the end. It really, really did felt like a journey, with Bryan. It reminded me of WrestleMania 30 when Bryan Danielson won the WWE Championship, and he'd been on that long quest with the Yes movement and the short and stop, pushes and all that. And I just big fan of that guy. Super happy that he won that championship. I think that made it. Now, the other thing I would say that really stuck out for me was the surprises. Like, we had Sting return just to help out Darby. Like, we know he's not coming back to return to wrestle, but he came back just for that night, and that was super cool. We saw Jamie Hayter on the pre-show of all places, which I thought was interesting, right? There was so many more. I feel like the Grizzled Young Veterans showed up here, right? It was just like they had so many different surprises. I feel like I know I'm forgetting some, but overall, I really enjoyed the show. Oh, Ricochet, of course, Ricochet and that gauntlet.
Nigel McGuinness entering that gauntlet match. That was incredible.
Yeah, so overall, the surprises, Danielson winning the title, those things really made the event for me.
One thing I do want to mention, too, is that we always talk about the pacing of AEW shows and how Tony Khan needs to figure it out. And this, I would argue, was a show where the pacing was great. It was crazy action. It kept up. It didn't feel like there were any lulls. Tony Storm and Mariah May, I love that match. The tag team match was great. I was not crazy about Christian Cage, but overall, I'm not going to complain about the show because I had a really good time watching it.
Yeah, I thought Mercedes and Britt was maybe where it slowed down at one point, and I thought they suffered. But then I thought everything else, like I said, I thought the pacing was just so good for a long show. Really good.
Yes, and before we get into our last couple of segments on the day, previewing not only this weekend's events, but events that we're going to be doing live watch-alongs for. We have put the watch-alongs on pause for the summer because summers are ruthless for us. It's still keeping up, in fact, but we wanted to start this fall season off right. So before we preview the shows that we're going to watch, what else in wrestling has caught your eye this week?
I mean, it's somewhat related to one of the shows we're doing, but I say it every week. It's Joe Hendry. Like, that guy continues to excel at everything he's doing with NXT and in TNA. So that's got my eye every week. I'm excited that we're getting closer to these changes too. That SmackDown is going to be on USA before we know it, and NXT is going to CW, which I'm interested just to see how that looks and is presented. I know that might be tough for you, and we talk about the way you watch wrestling, and if it's not readily available, that might be something. But those are the things that really kind of got me excited right now, just seeing how wrestling is going to shake up with all these movements, different stations, and the presentation. And Joe Hendry, man, I believe.
And we got there's a TNA pay-per-view tonight that Joe Hendry is on. Riley Osborne from NXT is on. Nick Nemeth versus Josh Alexander in an Iron Man match, which I think might have sold the pay-per-view for me just based on that. That is Impact Emergence, TNA Emergence. I'm trying to think. I'm so fried from work this week that
Matt Cardona has a monster versus PCO too.
Yeah, that's another match that's quite interesting on there. NXT continues to be, I feel like, the bright spot in the wrestling week it just happens it just so happens to come on a night that I'm easily able to watch wrestling, and NXT is definitely held up. Oh, if I wasn't so tired right now, I'd be able to think of more.
I mean, Bronson Reed is a continued bright spot too. Just the way he keeps, laying people out and continues to be built as this big monster. He took a hell of a bump that I didn't see a lot of people talk about too, where he went flying over that car and kind of landed on the back a little bit on the concrete pavement and stuff too. But tough bastard.
Yeah, that happened in Providence, Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
And since I'm tired and can't seem to come up with any small talk for this segment, we will move on to the first of two PLEs we'll be watching this weekend. This one, I'm going to say 90% sure I'm going to be doing this solo, but this is NXT No Mercy. This is happening Sunday night, and we're going to preview this card and give you some predictions.
I will tell you, you will not be doing this solo. I just don't know if I will be for the beginning. We did not get to talk about that. So let's
tag team. I'll be starting it at least solo. Dave will be jumping in. Yeah. Dave, let's talk about some of these matches because No Mercy has some exciting things they've lined up.
Yes, they do. I'm ready for it. Let's get to it. I'll start it off. Roxanne Perez and Jada Parker. No disrespect to Jada Parker. Maybe because I don't expect her to win, they will pull a surprise, but I got to go with Roxanne Perez here. If you go back to NXT this week, there was something after she got laid out by Jada where she's looking, or no, it was Jada who was looking at it. It's like, yeah, I see you. She's like, you can get it too. She was clearly talking to somebody, and a lot of us are wondering, is it Julia from Stardom? Is it Stephanie Vaquer who came over? I think we could see something in this match, but I got to go with Roxanne Perez to retain the title here.
We talk about women's wrestling, NXT. If we haven't said it before, we're going to say it now. NXT probably has the deepest women's roster in wrestling and is very exciting. But Jada Parker is not the one to take that off Roxanne. It's going to be a heck of a match. It's going to make Jada Parker look that much better in people's eyes. They're going to see her as more of a contender, but she's not going to be the women's champion this weekend.
And let's keep the women's action going. Kalani Jordan defends the Women's North American Championship against Wendy Chu. Now, Wendy Chu, more of a character wrestler we've seen here so far. I really like that they introduced TNA's Rosemary this week as someone who was trying to take out Kalani for her. I hope they continue to play that up. I'd like to see some more of like these, dead realm figures get involved maybe in this. That being said, Kalani just won this title not too long ago. I think she retains.
When you say it like that, I have to want to agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like Wendy Chu is going to take that title. I don't know why. Because like you said, they just put the title on Kalani, so why take it off? And they've been building her up as like this athlete that became a champion. No, I'm going Kalani Jordan. I want to say Wendy Chu. I want her to win it, but if you're going to make Kalani be that much stronger a champion, you don't have her lose it this quick.
I agree. All right, let's keep this going. We got another title match. Oba Femi defends the NXT North American Championship against Tony D'Angelo. Listen, Tony D'Angelo to me, he's an overachiever with this gimmick. It wasn't for me, but he's drawn me into it. Oba Femi, though, this guy is the next big thing, and I just don't see him losing any momentum yet. Oba Femi is going to beat Tony D'Angelo and probably take out some members of the family here too.
I'm not going to flip-flop on this answer, but I'm going to disagree. I feel like Tony D'Angelo is going to get that championship, and I feel like something bigger is in store for Oba Femi.
All right, we'll see. Well, maybe we'll disagree again here because Chase University, Andre Chase and Ridge Holland are defending these NXT Tag Team Championship against Nathan Frazier and Axiom. And I know they just won it, but I think they're going to lose it. because Rich Holland said something on the show the other day that I thought was interesting that I didn't see anybody really comment on or draw us to. And maybe it's for a longer story, but I just think we're going to get it now. And that is, he said, I said, as long as I'm champion, I got Chase Hughes back. And I think the story here is they're going to lose the titles, and then Ridge Holland is going to turn on Andre Chase.
This is another one that's tough because having won the titles so recently, I don't know kind of what sense it makes to take it off of them. But I'm such a fan of Nathan Frazier and Axiom, and I feel like they're the tag team champions. And when you bring up that little bit that Ridge Holland dropped, I got to feel like it's going to be Nathan Frazier and Axiom winning this.
All right, so we agree on that one. Only disagree on one so far. All right, Wesley and Zachary Wentz. I'm going to go with Wesley because I think he's the bigger story here. You know, Zachary Wentz, WWE's been pretty good to TNA, put some TNA guys over, but I don't think they're going to do it here. I think Wesley will come out as a star, and we'll see what's next for Wes after this.
See, this is interesting because I agree with you 100%. Wesley being the home promotion guy should get the win. I feel like there's another wrinkle to this story.
Okay.
And somehow Zachary Wentz is going to pull off the win, leading to something else. I don't know exactly what, but I feel like there's another beat to this story that's going to come out.
I like what you're saying there because WWE has been so good with TNA, and that would bring us to our main event. All right, Joe Hendry versus Ethan Page for the NXT Championship. I've been talking about Joe being the big thing. Joe's on the rise, and I don't think he wins the title here because I could see him winning the title at some point, but I don't think it's going to be here. Trick Williams is the special referee, but I think the odds are stacked 2 against the heel here. Ethan Page is going to find a way to cheat a win here. Maybe it's a ref bump and we get another referee, but somehow Ethan Page is escaping with that title. So maybe we don't have 2 TNA guys lose, and maybe Zachary Wentz does win earlier. But we'll see. But in the main event, I'm going Ethan Page.
I'm going Joe Hendry. I don't see how you don't put the title on him. He keeps gaining steam. On the other hand, I do see that Joe Hendry could lose this.
Sure.
And somehow the story could continue down the line. But I think Joe Hendry gets it. And somehow we work in a rematch with Ethan Page. But you're gonna want that sight of Joe Hendry winning the title. And I'm gonna go a step further. Even though I just said Ethan Page is gonna go for the rematch, Joe Hendry's first challenger is gonna be the next NXT champion, Obafemi.
Oh, okay. Interesting. We shall see. I like it. Well, no mercy.
It was interesting that we were on the same page for a lot of it, but then there's just certain matches that we saw going one way or another. And frankly, that's what's great about NXT is the storytelling's been so good and just what they put out is so amazing that we can have those disagreements. A show and a product that's been where NXT can vary a little bit and you could see things going one way or another. WWE main roster is fairly straightforward. And I have a feeling we're going to agree on most of the matches on this card.
I think you're right. I'll start off with Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens for the undisputed WWE Championship. Man, I got Cody Rhodes all day here. It is not Cody's time to lose. I think the bigger question is, does Kevin Owens turn heel yet? And I'll leave that up to you.
Oh, obviously, yeah, Cody's winning. And I'm going to say we do see a heel Kevin Owens. I haven't watched a ton of SmackDown as of late, but Kevin Owens, I feel, does better as a heel. And, going forward to SmackDown, getting on USA, you're going to need that strong character for the show. So I'll have to agree with you on that.
All right, the Terror Twins, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley versus the Judgment Day, Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. I'm going to go with Priest and Ripley here. I think Morgan and Dominic have been getting so much heat that I think Priest and Ripley here will win this tag match. But my guess is something will happen afterwards for Liv and Dom to get their heat back. A beatdown, maybe the rest of Judgment Day, but we'll see something happen here.
Yeah, Liv and Dominic Liv's been so good about saving Dominic from getting hit by Ripley's Riptide. You know, it's been the standout of the last couple weeks. The Liv always saving Dominic just in time. So obviously, Terror Twins are winning, and they're gonna get their hands finally on Liv and Dom. And the good thing about Liv and Dom is there's no worry about them getting their heat back. They're going to do it Monday night, right back at it.
All right. Now we got a strap match. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. And I got to say, I'm pretty 50-50 on this one. You know, it's hard for me to say, is CM Punk going to win this? Or is this Drew McIntyre continuing to win and this story is going to continue? I'll go Punk, but I'm 50-50.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's been a great story since they've started it. I like seeing the strap match in WWE. It feels like a throwback. It almost feels like something Cody would have brought back, but I like seeing Punk do it.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go Punk too. I just feel like that storyline about getting the bracelet back, it's been like that thing that's just been out of his reach for so long. Yeah. There's been such bad feelings between the two. Punk's going to get it done.
All right. The Unholy Union, Abba Fire and Isla Dawn versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargo, Women's Tag Team Championship. I think they clearly probably want you to think that Bianca and Jade are just going to win the tag titles back here. I don't think it happens. I think we're going to set up something between Jade and Bianca here, possibly. And I say the Unholy Union finds a way to win and they keep the tag titles.
I want to disagree, but I feel like we're both on the same page with this.
Okay, so I think, I think we're pretty much going to agree on this show, except for maybe Kevin turning heel. Because this one, Gunther, Randy Orton, world title, Germany. I got to go Gunther all day long. He's the world champ. Maybe when Vince was still running the show, I put my money on Orton, but not here, not now. This is Gunther's time.
Gunther's winning, and this is 100% going to be match of the night. This is what I believe the title was put on Gunther, not only because he's a dominant champion, they knew they had this event coming up, and it's going to be that big moment for Gunther, because most of the time Gunther's been in WWE, he's been a champion, and he's going to stay that way today.
All right, there we go. There's our picks for this weekend.
Well, that is this weekend's show. That was this week's show. Please tune in next week, episode 264, all about tag teams. You're going to get tag team history. You're going to get old 531s. You're going to get new 531s. What you are also going to get is some Game Up Hard Hydration.
If you haven't tried Game Up, then you are missing out. Imagine your favorite seltzer and your favorite sports drink had a baby, but it's way better than that. Each can is 110 calories, low carb, 4.9 ABV. It's a nice light drink that is not light on flavor. Game Up comes in fruit punch, orange, lemon, lime, and grape. Pick it up at drinkgameup.com or at your nearest liquor store.
When you're done enjoying that Game Up, how about you crack open a book or two? Here's a couple recommendations.
All you goddamn wrestling fans out there, listen, Old Black Bart has got a book. It's called Wrestle Black Bart. It's got some dadgum good stories in there about some dadgum good wrestlers.
Read stories of Dusty Rhodes, the Von Erich, Scott Casey, Sergeant Slaughter, Roddy Piper, Mr. Fuji, Ron Bass, Bruiser Brody, Mike Davis, the Grappler, and many others.
And I guarantee you one thing, that it'll be the best Dadgum read. You've had it a long, long time.
Get your book today at Russellville.com or on Amazon. Russellville, it's where wrestling lives.
Read about the Northern Wrestling Federation in the book presented by Russellville.com, The Pro Wrestling Vault, Volume 2. Hear the story of Roger Ruffin, the man who trained Carl Anderson, the Monster Abyss, Jordan Clearwater, Chris Harris, and Jillian Hall.
Plus 45 other short stories including Jazz, Bobby Eaton, Kamala, Thunder Rosa, Mario Mancini, Scott Casey, PJ Black, Kerry Morton, Sal Renaro, Jeremiah Plunkett, Colby Carino, Bam Bam Malone, and many others.
Get your book today at Russellville.com. Russellville, it's where wrestling lives.